His move to Wisconsin from California was based upon his projection of climate consequences. He considers himself a climate refugee. And tonight he is here to talk about climate change. Welcome, Rich.
Hi, everyone. We have the presentation up. How does this work?
Forward and backward.
How do I start it?
Forward. I'll put it up on the screen.
Oh, you get it up, okay. So, the state of the Democratic Party in Wisconsin, the health is pretty good. We had a double-digit win. I hope everyone can resonate in the happiness of that. I'm gonna, hello?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So,
it's good.
So I'm gonna zoom out and talk about the health of something really big, the health of human civilization and how we're dealing with climate. So this is not rated G, okay? So there's going to be some ups and downs. This is a tough topic. The quote there by Margaret Mead that resonates a lot with me: we need people who are committed to solving this problem. How do I go forward? Which button?
This one.
That one? Second one. Okay.
The down arrow.
Bottom one. Okay. So I don't really want to lecture. I do have a presentation here to fill the time, but what I would like is more of a conversation. So I don't want to ask you to wait until the end of the presentation. If you have something that arises that you want to talk about, or something comes up, please feel free to jump in and raise your hand. The goals here are, this is a topic we could talk about for semester, okay? And we got 30 minutes, so I'm going to try to simplify things. We want to focus on solutions, not blame. And what I want to do is walk away with some baby steps for everyone to take some positive action in the right direction. I want to let you know that my hearing's not good. I got hearing aids. If someone has a question, I might have to repeat or have someone assist by helping me understand the question. So introduction is, I was born a Democrat. My family, my grandparents grew up in the Depression. My parents, FDR was a hero, right? Like, those were great days for Democrats. From 1932 to 1968, we won 7 of 9 elections. The guy who won the other 2 elections, Eisenhower, was basically not really Republican. He could have been either party. So those were great days for Democrats, and I think that is going to be the solution that we're going to need, is going back to the legacy of FDR. So as we introduced, I was a CPA. I lost some hearing. I went back to school. Dietetics is biochemistry, basically, study. And then something happened in my life. I became climate literate. I was not before then. And as a result of climate literacy, consider myself an advocate for community resilience. The world's going to change. Stephen's point, the community, other communities need to be ready for what's coming. So, also, I'm a father of 2 kids. Okay, if people want to know what my agenda is or why I'm doing this, it's because I care about my kids and I'm protective. And that is not something that's optional, that's hardwired in me. We got 5 young people here who are sort of archetypes here. They're about the same age as my kids. And I'd like to help them out too. So I'd like to talk about my path to climate literacy. We're going to define that in a second, through the 5 stages of grieving. So until 2016, I was 54 years old. I was not a climate denier, but I was kind of on autopilot, assuming that the human race was, run by sane people and that everything was going to be fine. And so I was just focusing like everybody else. I was in my own world, focusing on my own things. and everything was cool. But I was climate illiterate. I didn't really know. So Dr. Seuss was way ahead of me, all right? So he wrote this book, The Lorax, I don't know, 50 years ago, and I don't know if anyone knows, but this was the one book he wrote where he was angry, and he just said, I'm just going to let it rip. So some people have known for a long time. They have the vision and the wisdom to see where civilization was heading. So grieving stage 2 is anger, okay? We all know about the anger of Trump getting elected. Damn, you know, we have a climate denier in the White House, and that is what kind of prompted the deep dive. So I was studying at San Francisco State, which is probably the most progressive, you know, metro in the country. And I was in school with people who were the age of these kids up front. And they were really upset when Trump was elected. People were crying in class. So my protective impulse is, how do we fight back? And I talked to my classmates and said, hey, let's ask the national dietitians to stop making political contributions to climate deniers, who coincidentally were all in the GOP. There was like 22 or 23 people. So I rallied my classmates and I got them to sign a petition. All my classmates and most of my faculty signed this petition. We sent it to the national leaders, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, their political action committee, and they said, you know, we're not going to do that. So the lesson I learned is I had influence with people in my community. I didn't have influence with these national leaders. The people at the top of the food chain, there's a lobbyist at the Academy who's buddy-buddy. Their whole job depends on them lobbying. If Republicans were in power at the time and they couldn't, you know, lobby those Republicans, they wouldn't have a job. So I was basically asking them to end their own job, and they said, not surprisingly, said no. So I did the deep dive and learned about climate. I've been in this topic for 6 years, and it's really, a lot of people think about climate change, they just think about the physical science. Right? But it's not, we have to adapt as a people. So the physical science, that's Earth systems. All the other things are human systems. Human systems are colliding with Earth systems. And there are some people who really don't understand that the Earth system is the alpha. Okay? We have to learn to live you know, we can't change science, we can't change physics, we can't change chemistry, we can't change biology. We have to fit into what the planet allows us. The planet is not going to change for us. So I just like to, you know, when I think about it, there's behavioral sciences, health science, educational, economic. Beliefs are important. You know, there are some people, you know, who don't necessarily believe that the earth is supposed to be sustainable. There are some people who feel like the earth is disposable and it's a way station on the way to something else. We don't talk about that very much, but that's the truth. So we have to figure out how to negotiate that. And maybe the Democratic Party wants to position itself as the sustainable party versus sustainable earth party versus the disposable earth party. I'm not sure. So, and also that, you know, we need to, there's a lot of information coming all the time. To be climate literate, that's a lot of work. So, come on, it's not going anywhere. Why is this, the slides are
Maybe
not
he can do it.
forwarding. Is this,
It's hung up over here too.
right? So I can sort of wing it if we don't have slides.
Next page.
This is not.
There, we got one.
Got it. Okay, so
Is that the next one?
physical science, right? There's a lot here. I can't, in a half-hour session, I can't do this justice. I'm just going to walk through like one pathway really quick. And fortunately, you guys have a great resource here. Ned knows a lot about physical science, so it's good that someone else knows what I'm talking about. But we have a chain reaction here that I don't know if people know, the fastest warming place on Earth is the Arctic. And the reason the Arctic is warming faster than any other place is because it's got a lot of white surface to lose, snow and ice. So this chain reaction of what's going on in the world is starting up there. When the Arctic warms faster than it warms in Wisconsin, the temperature difference between the polar latitudes in Wisconsin gets smaller. And that's making the wind, the jet stream, get weaker. So changing the wind circulation, that's allowing a lot of air to go from the equator to the poles and back. So you see things like that crazy freeze in Texas, a winter before last. That's because of warming. The air, the wind that's keeping the polar air from going south is just weakened. So when you change the wind circulation, that changes the ocean circulation. The change in ocean circulation is bringing lots of ocean water against the ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica. And that's causing ice to melt. When that ice melts, it's bringing a lot of fresh water into the ocean. And the ocean we're in human civilization, the last 10,000 years, we haven't had fresh water like this coming into the ocean. So when you put fresh water in a place where salt water is, you change the density column in the water. So I don't know if people know that the ocean doesn't just, the current is not just on the surface, it's overturning, and that overturning of the ocean